All right, we're live and direct. Let's go.
We are cheer. Right,
We
warm,
back. We back.
lad. We back, brother. Happy Sunday. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm standing today, by the way.
Are you actually? Have you got a standing desk?
Yeah. Check this out.
Have you actually got a standing desk?
Go for it. Come on. Don't let me down now.
Oh,
Boy,
sugar.
shit,
He's
boy.
out here, you know. My mate Ryan's got one as well. It's different. I could do it when I'm suffering with my lower back a little bit after all these years grinding over a
Literally.
little laptop.
My hips
got
have
a
been
bit-
really bad recently. And I was just like, I need to change something. And that was one of the changes.
We are here, bro. I need a good
So yeah,
share
we
in
out
that
here.
as well.
It's quite
We
nice.
are out
I
share.
feel a bit loose. Being able
Good,
to
yeah.
stand
No, I
here.
wish I could stand. We both got a bit of a different setting, I guess. Right, people, we're back. Welcome back to the What Does Your Mum Think podcast, live and direct. Shouting out from New York, shouting out from Manny. What's been going on, Michael? How's your weekend?
MCR to NYC. Yeah, man, everything is good. Took my son to train Jiu Jitsu Saturday morning.
Lovely.
That's become a lovely little routine. He's been, learning some good takedowns, learning arm bars, triangles. He just wants to kill me now. He just wants to terrorize me. It's fun.
I love it, bro. I love it.
But yeah, man, the sun's out in Manchester, which I can't believe.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Nice here
all is
too. A
good.
little bit of weather chat. A little bit of
What's
weather
going
chat to
on?
warm up
Yeah,
the
I can't help it. It's
coffee.
usually raining cats and dogs, It's usually drizzling a little bit, but we're all good here. How's it on your side? NY Dizzle to the sizzle.
Yeah, I'm good in the sizzle. I'm good, you know. I shot hoops for the first time on Friday morning. I got a basketball, lad.
I saw the
You might-
picture of the basketball. What's this? Is this a new thing?
Yeah, new things, bro. Neophyte stuff. Anytime I can be new at something, I'm on it.
Nice.
Yeah, just another way of burning calories, isn't it? You know, there's loads of courts near me, so it's a nice way of just getting about. And I usually, well, we've been going. I only got it on Friday, so I've done it literally every day since Friday. And and I've been asking like all the kids on the court how to shoot properly and stuff like that, and get the bounce in my step and a little dip over. Dude, it's cool. You know, it's cool.
You're
Different
getting the
movements.
language down. Like I was come to shoot some hoops. Like what's the
Play
what's-
ball,
playing ball, is that
play
the
ball,
lingo?
innit? Yeah, we play ball, you know, playing ball with the homies. But yeah, it's good. And other than that, like I said, coming into fall here now. Fall. So everything's turning orange. So I'm excited to go upstate and like see all the nice leaves and stuff.
That's really
American.
really what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I can't find it. It's just organic. It sounds
Organic,
good.
natural.
Be connected
I'm gonna
to
try.
nature.
Well, it's with that said as well. I've got a bit of PTO in next week. I've got some time off, so I am actually going upstate. I'm
PTO.
gonna go PTO, pay time off. They call it different out here. Do you know what I mean? Holidays, vacation, all that stuff. But I'm gonna go up to Bear Mountain. Obviously, I don't want to encounter a bear, but I'd love the story to tell. Do you know what I mean? If I bumped into a bear in Bear Mountain, and could get my jiu-jitsu skills on.
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting scran by one?
Do you know what's the bear situation up there? They're like brown bears or black bears, or do you know?
And the black bears near me, I
Ooh.
think. So you make yourself big for them, right? And make yourself
I don't
loud.
know. I wouldn't ask me because I'd probably tell you to run. I just run.
God forbid, lad. You know what I mean? I think they're amazing creatures, animals. I would love to see one from afar. We went to the zoo, went to the Bronx Zoo a couple of weeks ago when my little brother was out here, and that was cool. You know, well, as much as I don't really think zoos are cool, but like, it was cool to see a bear, you know, and whatever else. But that's another conversation, right? I know it's another conversation. Let's not go there. I don't fuck with it either. Right, we've got a great pod today. Slowly moving on. We've got Aron Leah, who is a founder and creative director. He does run his own shop, but he's got over 10 years experience in the creative industry. He's an artist and illustrator who can be used. I'm reading this off his website, so big up for making my life a little bit easier. But Aron is an artist and illustrator who can usually be found thinking up new ways to clear his mind over a cup of coffee and has yet to realize the irony in that. He has an enthusiasm for uncovering meaning and emotion, develop conceptual ideas and tell stories, often in a playful, witty and sophisticated way. Influenced by people, objects and culture, he finds ways to capture familiar moments that resonate and bring a smile to your face, which obviously is very lovely and very resonates with us. What more do you want? And again, he runs his own shop, his own studio, which is called Fried Cactus. We're going to delve into why the name Fried Cactus today. But Fried Cactus is a collaborative creative studio, working with brands to create custom narrative-driven illustrations that capture brand voice and again resonates with the audiences. He's got clients such as New Balance, Gosney, Levi's, Fast Company, New Era, to just name a few. We're going to delve into his background today and delve into some of his work. He's got a great story. He's also heavily into Jiu Jitsu, so we're gonna not make it all about trying hard to not make it all about Jiu Jitsu. He's from Bournemouth in the UK, and yeah, I'm excited to chat with him. You know, he's
just before Aaron jumps on as well. How did you guys connect?
I reached out on LinkedIn about one of his prints. I think we've had each other. I've always followed him. I don't know if he's necessarily, you know what I mean, been aware of me, so to say, but I made him aware of me by hitting him up on LinkedIn and saying I loved one of his little prints that he did in New York about the Lower East Side. Maybe we can pull it up in post so it gives it a bit of context, but it's like a he felt that it's not Will's Wally. Do you know what I mean? It's not that, but it feels like that kind of thing, you know. And everything's just going on, and there's little like two mouths playing checkers up high on a mat. You know, there's loads of like little things in there. And I was like, I love your print, and he sent it me. And he's like, print it out, bro. Get it stuck up. So, disclaimer: I wanted it stuck up for this podcast today, but I've just had a bit of a heavy week and not ended up doing it. But yeah, that's how we met. And then asked him if he'd be up for doing the pod. And then, yeah, we connected on a chat. And again, he's basically like just like us, lad. Do you know? Jiu Jitsu, hustler, and English. So, well, music to my ears.
I can see Aaron sat in the waiting room, so I'm going to pull him up. But
has he got his gi on? Has he got his gi on?
There's no gi on. The intro, anyway, without further ado. And he's still not here.
Where is he?
What? Here we go.
Hey.
My man. How you feeling?
Yeah, how's it going? How's it going?
Live and direct.
Lovely to meet you, Aaron. How you doing?
Yeah, you too, mate. How's it going?
All good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm loving the setting.
Thanks, man. Nice. Yeah, just put it together about 10 minutes ago. So.
Oh, listen, Aaron, I was the same on this, right? So I've had this thing, like we usually blur our backgrounds in it. Do you know what I mean? So I sent one of them what we just recorded to a friend, and he was like, "Bro, you got to stop blurring that background. It's bird jarring when it's going into your ears and you whatever." So I'm moving this table around today, trying to get the best setting, and get some time.
Fall on my head halfway through. It's not usually there. Yeah. Thanks for the lovely intro there, and thanks for having me on the podcast.
I'll say no more. Sorry if I probably butchered a few words in that, but hopefully it was on the point, on the money.
You know, just point out though, like it wasn't actually a print. Like you made it into a print. I just did it, and it's just like personal posting on Dribble, and you were like, "Oh, I'd like to print it out," and I was like, "Yeah, I'd like you to as well." So that was it.
Yeah, I've got it queued on the GMG at work. I've just not hit print yet. Do you know what I mean? It's there. I am.
There might be one for the website shop then, Aaron.
Yeah, well, that's coming. That's been coming for about 4 years. So yeah, eventually. There's a few fonts and stuff on there, plug. But yeah.
How's your Sunday been?
Good, mate. Yeah. Took the little one swimming this morning. Went for a coffee. Went to the gym this afternoon, and now I'm here.
Have you had some rolls? Have you trained today? Yeah.
No, not jiu-jitsu. Just strength and conditioning. Yeah. I figured I needed to wake my brain up a little bit. So,
yeah, me and you both. I woke up this morning. I was saying to Michael before, like, you know, I mean, Saturday nights I always treat myself a little bit. So wake up on Sunday and feel like I need to just get myself back in the zone a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Exactly. Whenever I run around the block. But yeah, nice. Well, welcome to the What Does Your Mum Think podcast, Aaron, and thank you so much for doing this. You know,
cool.
Super excited to chat with you. I think what we'll do is we'll have a little chat first, and then we'll save all the work till the end. Do you know what I mean? Just so we're not chopping and changing, if that's okay. But straight away, we'll try and do an hour. But if we go over an hour or below an hour, it's all good. You know, we don't want to keep you for too long. But like I said, there's a nice structure we'll go through. So yeah, thank you for joining. And we always take it back at the start. It's kind of nice to see what the catalyst is for where you are today. Yeah. So again, what was drawing as a kid like? Did you draw as a kid? Did you hate drawing as a kid? What was that like?
Yeah. No, I loved drawing as a kid. I would say, I mean, even from like you know, being a toddler, like obviously like every toddler drawing. And then I think it's just something I kept doing. And my dad, like, he was like creative as a kid, and I think it wasn't until I started drawing that he started doing that with me. And I think at that age it was just drawing random stuff, things I was into, like video games, and then like would recreate the levels and stuff. And then like I'd always show him, and he'd be like, "Oh, it's perfect. Don't add any more to it, because if you do, you'll ruin it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough." And then I'd go away and ruin it, and I'll just add more to it. And I think like, yeah, it was just I don't know. I think it was always just such a release. And like, I mean, I remember like as I grew older and stuff, like, you have your own room and stuff, and you have posters on your wall, and I would just draw all over my wardrobe, all over the walls, and it was just random stuff, like brands I was into. Like, I was really into like mountain biking as a kid, and like BMX and stuff, and it would be like those brands, and then it eventually become like music I was into. And yeah, I think it was always just such a big part of my life.
So did it always come naturally to you then? It was always kind of like second
nature.
nature?
I don't know if I was ever any good, but I just enjoyed it. And I think like there was always like a few kids at school who I was always envious of how good they were at drawing, and I think that kind of encouraged me to kind of keep going. And like, I don't know, back in the day before like social media and all that sort of stuff, it's like, yeah, you either met your mates at the end of the road and rode your bikes, or you just hung out playing like Nintendo or drawing, like, and that was it really. So yeah, I think, I don't know, it's like it was just part of who I was. And I think at that age, it's, I don't know, it's such an important thing to do, because it's just so much fun.
Yeah, I love it. Do you draw with your kids now then?
Yeah. All the time. Yeah, we've got a table in the front room, and it's just, there's like, I mean, I'm not even exaggerating, there's like hundreds of pens, and there's just paper everywhere, and it's just, they both love drawing. We have like drawing competitions all the time, and like my wife's the judge and stuff. So yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's nice.
And is that on
really
the walls?
nice.
Huh?
On the walls. You just mentioned before, when you were younger, your parents would let you draw on the walls, and it's just stuck in my head. Sorry, I can't let that go, Aaron. Did you draw directly on the wall when you was a kid, and are you doing that with your kids now?
I wouldn't dare draw on the walls, but they do it. Kate, my wife, she'd kill me. She'd be like, "Grow up!" Like, but it's funny because like my oldest, he's 9, Seb. He's pre-verbal autistic, and even from like a really young age, like, he just loved drawing. And I mean, he literally spends all day, like the weekends, like as soon as he wakes up till we have to tell him it's bedtime, like he's drawing, and it's just constant. So his muscle memory, and like what he draws, and his writing and his numbers, it's insane. And I remember one day, like, I think I come home from work, and Kate was like, "Oh yeah, he's drawn on the wall," and you walk into the bedroom, and there's like nothing else on his wall, and then right in the middle he had drawn this, like, it was like this weird shape with like an angry face and legs, and I actually ended up getting it tattooed on my leg.
Show us, Aaron. Show us. Is it accessible?
I don't know, not really, because I don't know, it might get a bit weird.
Send me a photo through in post. And we'll put it in post. Amazing.
Yeah, it's and then it's like, kids at a really young age, as you got kids, haven't you, Michael? Like, they just draw on the wall because they don't know any better. But now that he just continues to do it. And then like my youngest, like where we have like drawing competitions, everything we draw just ends up on the wall, and it's like, not shit talking on him, because he's still learning to draw. Like, some of his like ain't that great. And then but it's like you can see where he's like, his drawings are like really bad, and then as he's getting older and getting better, it's like he's a really good drawer, and it's amazing.
I was gonna say that. Is he forming a style, would you say?
Yeah, and I'm like really encouraged. So he's been coming home from school recently and being like showing me pictures, and I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's my imagination." I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." Like, so where they'll get him to draw, like, I'll draw nature. He'll draw like a rainbow and some trees, and then he'll draw like all these Pokemon like all over it and stuff. And it's like, so I'm like, really trying to encourage him to like put himself into those drawings, like even if it's like a drawing of nature, and it's like but yeah, add something else to it. So whereas I was told not to, I'm like, well, what will happen if I just tell him to add more? Like, where will that go? So yeah, and then my oldest Seb, he's for sure got a style. Like the way he draws stuff, like it's just like shapes. So if he was drawing animal, he'll, you know, like using a cow, for example, the basic shape of a cow would be it's kind of a rectangle, right? So when he draws stuff, it's like that. It's amazing. Yeah. And I think like he at one point like definitely influenced how I was thinking about drawing, just because it's so simple and there's so much like character in it. And then he also used to draw birds all the time, and as you've seen in my work, there's birds everywhere, and that completely originated with him. So yeah, I'm trying to influence them, and they're for sure influencing me here and there.
Wow.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, nice. And again, when we was looking at his work, your work, sorry, Aaron, before we jumped on, me and Michael, it's very kind of outdoorsy and still kind of BMXy in some way. Do you know what I mean? So it's nice that there's a lovely coherence from what you was drawing as a kid, and you're still kind of drawing now as a in your professional career. So, you know, it's really nice.
I'd say probably in the last two or 3 years, I've found the confidence to start doing that more. I think like growing up in, you know, kind of BMX and listening to like punk or whatever, I think there's a certain like attitude that comes with that culture, and I think I was definitely scared to put that into my work, and even just like how I presented myself. But as I've gotten older and I've been freelancing or like a commercial illustrator for longer, and you know, bigger clients and all that sort of stuff, my confidence has grown. I've taken risks and trying to put that into my work, because I think that's ultimately, you know, one of the only ways you can kind of stand out. So
yeah, nice, love it. So you're in Bournemouth. What's life like there?
Yeah, sweet. We have beautiful Long Beach. Forest is right behind us, the New Forest. So, and then you've got the Purbeck. So yeah, there's always somewhere to explore and just kind of like get some headspace.
Nice. And do you run? So you run Fried Cactus out of your home, or have you got a little studio space that you go to?
I've got a studio. I rent a studio inside a coffee roastery called Bad Hand Coffee.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a big warehouse in the center of town. What's that?
It sounds like a good spot. You must go.
Yeah, and you know, it's exactly how you'd imagine. There's like free coffee, and there's like, I don't know, the smell.
The smells, the smell.
You get headaches.
It's an old warehouse. I have no idea like when the building was made. I mean, it's pretty old, so you know, back in the day, and it used to be like a garage, so like tires, like a mechanics. Before that, I don't know what it was. There's a few rooms that are just covered in tiles, and they've always been really cold. So I imagine it's like could have been like a, you know, butcher's, something like that, hanging meat. But yeah, now it's this. So the guys that own it, one of them used to be a carpenter. They're amazing at upcycling stuff and just kind of making the most out of what's already here. So they've just built around it and knocked a few walls down, and we've got. I don't know how many businesses are in here, but we've got like, there's like a yoga studio, there's a barbershop, tattoo, vegan catering business.
That sounds about right. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to leave.
There's a sauna, there's a ice barrel. Like you could live here, and yeah, you wouldn't need to leave.
Oh wow, that's a nice gig. That. So when you're collaborating with people, do you get people to come and work with you in the studio, or is it always like on a remote thing?
Always
if it's, is it? Yeah, I was saying if it was any. So
I used to. So I mean, there's like this room I'm in now. It's a big room. There's 4 of us in here, but then there's a room on the side of it which used to be my studio, but then recently, just due to some school and home life scheduling stuff, I'm working 2 days a week at home in like an attic space, and it's just a desk, like. And then so now I've moved in here just because it doesn't make sense for me to be paying like all that rent and just for 3 days a week. And it's cool. It's cool. Like I think, you know, as you guys know, like working around people, like. It's great, and then when you go freelance, like, it can be somewhat isolating. So, and I've kind of gone through that stage of wanting to be on my own, and now I'm in a space where like, I need people to kind of like bounce off of, and we help each other, support each other, and bounce ideas and get, you know, feedback off work and situations with clients. So yeah, it's great. And everyone in this building is self-employed and all self-made, so can all relate to each other in a sense, and then also offer like fresh perspective on like issues or whatever it might be. Yeah,
I love it. Where did the name come from, Fried Cactus? What inspired that?
Nothing that interesting, unfortunately. So my wife and I, when we met, I reckon it was because I already had this trip planned. I think it was about 3 months later. I had an old Volkswagen T4, gunmetal grey, beautiful, long wheelbase, and I had like a bed in the back and stuff. And I was basically with a group of people going to drive down to Morocco, go surfing, and just said, yeah, you should come with me. And over there, just, I guess, don't know, spent a lot of time enjoying the culture. There's not a lot to do there other than like surf, read, eat, and get high, basically. There's some, and I've always liked cacti, so yeah, there's something around that. But I remember when I picked it, I was like, it was when I was working for the brand before I went freelance, and I was literally like freaking out. I was like, should I go as my name or should I have like this brand? I want, because at the time I was like obsessed with like Aaron Draplin. That he GDC. So I was like, I'm going to be a design company, and then it was like, and that's actually why my website is like Fried Cactus DC, which is actually, it's really annoying because I just wish that DC wasn't there. But yeah, I was just like, I phoned my wife and I was like, what do you think? She was like, yeah, it's fine, it doesn't really matter. And I was like, right, I'm doing it. I bought the domain name and that was it. And I just stuck with it. And for the longest time, I hated it. But then eventually, like, I sort of realized that like a good brand name is something that stands out in people's minds, right? And like, and eventually I started viewing it like that. So now I love it, and it's just like me. So
yeah, I like it.
Super unique name. Like the first thing you think of is like, why did you like? That's the first question is, why did you call it that? Like,
I know, and I wish I had some story. And I've been asked so many times. I thought about just making something up and just spinning this yarn, but yeah.
So I was guessing at the start, Aaron, that you might have found a bit of fried cactus in a taco.
Maybe.
And you were like, "Fuck, this is delicious."
Well, yeah, I don't know. We went to like an agave farm when we were over there as well, and like, I mean, we were high when we were there, so like maybe it came.
Yeah, say no. I mean, you could illustrate. Have you ever illustrated fried cactuses in different contexts and stuff like that? You could illustrate that so many ways, couldn't you?
I got asked to do some guy in California. This is years ago. So like a t-shirt design, and he grew cacti and like sold it and stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, he wanted this like trippy cactus dude, like walking along, like swirly eyes and stuff, and mushrooms everywhere. So yeah, but I never felt like that's not how I want. I don't really want the word fried associated with your brain melting. Basically, it's just who knows, man. Like
So have you ever been full time at any agencies then, or did you just go straight? No, you just went straight into freelance.
Well, no. So I worked at like it was like a lifestyle clothing brand down in Bournemouth called Animal.
Right, yeah.
Nice. Clothing. So kind of off the back of being in Morocco, I think we were away for nearly about 6 to 8 months, something like that, because we did like Morocco and then we did parts of Europe and stuff. And then when we got when I was over there, I started. So going back to when I was younger, like I think around 12 or 13 when I got my first BMX, I just stopped drawing for fun, at least anyway. And then we did like graphic design at school and went on to college, but I stopped drawing for fun. And then we were in Morocco, and then I think I was like drawing one day, and it was like all these like wizards and teapots and owls and random stuff like smoke, like. And my wife was like, "Well, yeah, Kate, we weren't married at the time." She was like, "Oh, I had no idea you could draw." She said, "You should keep doing that." So I did, and then anyway, we came back, and like she ended up getting a job, and then I couldn't get a job, and I was still drawing and stuff. And then eventually, like she was like, "Oh, you put on t-shirts," and then that's when Instagram started kicking off a bit. And then locally we just had this small clothing brand that we made together. And I mean, I couldn't even use like any of the software like Photoshop or Illustrator. I was just drawing stuff by hand and then photographing it, sending it to my laptop, and then like you change like the levels on Photoshop to make it darker, and then live tracing it. Like there's basic stuff that I was just YouTubing how to do. And then sending that to get printed, and then it like did really well locally. Like everyone who, because growing up in skate parks, like new skaters, new BMXers, and they all bought it. So that was awesome. And then there's a guy who actually worked for Animal. He used to every time I bought a t-shirt, he bought it. And then one day he was like, "Oh, I've shown my manager the stuff. Like, she's really interested in kind of talking to you because I think you'd be a good fit for like what we're doing here." I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll come in." And you know, prior to that, I just had like random jobs, nothing ever in the creative industry. And then went in, had an interview, dumped a load of t-shirts out on the table out of a backpack. I had a few printouts and a few stickers, and just chatted to them a little bit. And that was it. I think it was they sent me a project, and then I think it was like like a month later they offered me the job. And then suddenly I was like, so at the time I think I was working in hospitality on like minimum wage, and then suddenly I was being paid like 25 a year to draw. And the guy next to me who helped me get the job was like, "Oh, I'll help you learn Illustrator and Photoshop," and it was just totally like learning on the job. And man, like, honestly, the amount of work that I churned out like on a daily basis, like, I mean, a lot of it was awful, but it was almost like just suddenly just getting a chance to just like have all these experiences that I had my entire life, like BMX, like going away with them, like traveling, all that sort of stuff, like just whatever lifestyle I was living, it all just kind of came out through that creativity. And then eventually, the design director would pick out certain things like, "Oh, I think you're onto something there, pursue that." And then it just kind of evolved from there. So, and then I think it was about 2.5 years into that, maybe 3, that I went freelance.
And then that was the journey then from there. Yeah, nice.
I mean, I was freelancing when I was there and got in a lot of shit for that. But it was like coming in early morning, kind of freelancing, then working 9 to 5, and then coming home. We had Seb at the time; he was just a baby, so put him in bed, have some dinner, and then freelancing to the early hours and just build that, and then eventually got to the point where I was like, I think I can do this.
Yeah, I love that hustle. You know what I mean? And the whole thing about getting bad before you've got good. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. Like, amazing.
You have to, I think, like. You have to have that. I read a book recently. It was called A Company of One, and I forget who it's by. And there's a bit in there where he says like how all these these like entrepreneurs say, "Oh, follow your dreams," all that sort of stuff. And one thing they often neglect to tell you is that they might be like following their dream and killing it and making all this money, but like before they got to that point, they had a 9 to 5. And then whatever they were doing for that 9 to 5, whether it's consultancy or illustration or design, they started freelancing and then building that network. And then eventually they just jump ship and the side hustle becomes the main hustle. But there's no way anyone would just quit their job and go, "Oh, I'm going to follow my dream now." Because, maybe if you've got like no kids and, no responsibilities and you're just like seriously like amazing at what you do. But I think there's so much that comes from like that balance for such a long time that I think that's like really important.
Yeah, I hear you there. So talk to us a little bit more about the world of freelance then, Aaron. So you've been freelancing for 7 years, right? Talk to us about that moment that you went freelance and that kind of realization that you're going to do it on your own.
Yeah. So I think, working for a clothing brand, you're often asked to dip in and out of different styles, and I was cool with that because I was still kind of cutting my teeth and figuring out what I wanted to do. And I think after a few seasons and doing the same graphics but in a different way, the same formula, it started to feel like I've always struggled to be employed. Like I've always felt like, I know this is going to sound really arrogant, but like I could do it better. But it's probably not that I could. I think it's more just having control over something. Like, okay, like I need to prove to myself that I could do it better and I could succeed at this. So I think it started to feel a bit like that. And then just started freelancing a little bit, 100 quid a logo, that's, and build it up from there. Those quick wins on the board, build that momentum. And then at the time, I was listening to like a lot of podcasts, trying to like learn as much as possible on YouTube, that sort of thing. And I was still am like a huge fan of John Contino, and he started a podcast at the time. And I remember it was within a couple of days, I'd basically been handed a brief at work, and it was like, the same old stuff. We need this for this big account. And I was like, oh man, I've done this so many times, like, and it's just like my heart kind of sank. And then like another day I was like walking home listening to this podcast, and someone phoned in with a question like, how do I go freelance? And his response was just, make no mistake about it, it is gut wrenchingly fucking hard. Like, you really have to ask yourself, have you got the grit to do this? Like, can you do it? Because like, it's lonely, it's people treat you like shit, not all the time, he really highlighted the negative points. It's like, you're in an industry where your work's being critiqued constantly by like not only yourself but by other people for commercial purposes, and you've got a family to support. It's like, that's a lot of pressure. And there are absolutely people out there who just maybe just on the outside look like they just constantly getting these like big clients all the time with it. And maybe there are people out there who just like it, they just find it a breeze. But he was just like, yeah, it's really fucking hard. And you really need to ask yourself, can you do this? And I was like, literally just around the corner from my house. And I was like, yeah, I think I can do this. And I'm going to do it. And I really, like those moments where you really say to yourself, like, can you do it? And yeah, the next day I just went in and handed my notice. And I happened to be like, I think maybe the 4th person to hand their notice in that month. So I don't think that went down too well.
Yeah. You'd almost have listened to the podcast.
Huh? Yeah, probably. Yeah. I think I needed that push, and it's weird that it come from someone I'd never met. It's just like another artist that I grow up admiring and stuff. And I think, yeah, it just really gave me that push that I needed. Kate supported me, my wife.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, if you think you can do it, I believe in you. Go for it. So
sorry, Michael, I'm just going to jib in on that really quickly. What's really interesting on that is like how, for instance, you could be like, for instance, Michael, we chat all the time, right? And Michael tells me certain things, and we have penny drop moments sometimes, but sometimes things get lost in dialogue, when I'm talking back and Michael talks to me. And sometimes, like you say in there, I can be listening to something really external, such as a podcast or something. And I will have that penny drop moment where it's just me in isolation with that thing, and like I can't talk back to, and it's just like, right, I'm going to make this thing happen, and it's like a really kind of like an internal endeavor, so to say, I think that's really interesting. Do you know what I mean? Because like my mum will tell me loads of things, bringing it back to the name of the pod. My mum, and sometimes not that I ignore it, but like you brush things off, and then you hear the exact same thing reiterated to you or someone that you don't even bloody know, and it hits.
But that's it. But I think that's it. It's like, I mean, even in like a relationship, like that person can say, oh, if you've got a problem, I'll offer you this advice. You're not always going to take it, but then if you go for a beer with a mate and they give you the same advice, you probably take it.
And you're like, oh yeah,
yeah, it's really weird, but yeah, I guess that's what happened.
Maybe if you're hearing that message multiple times, it sounds like it's something that you need to do.
Subconscious, the subconscious takes over.
I was definitely at a point where like I hated it there. Like the people I worked with were awesome, and like it just, I think, I don't know, I just got to a place where I was like not enjoying like the constant change. I just needed to settle into something I could work on, a style, a list of clients, like, and just kind of go from there, really.
So then what I did want to ask, Aaron, is, so then you did go freelance, and then all those bad things you heard about freelance, I'm sure a lot of them are reality, but there's lots of positives as well, right? I'd love to hear from you, like, what's your experience of freelance been, like the good and the bad?
So when I went freelance, I really needed to know like why I was doing it. And the main reason I went freelance was to have flexibility for my family, because we had just got Seb's autism diagnosis. And I think like I just wanted to know that like, oh, if I got a phone call in the middle of the day that I needed to, because we didn't really know much about autism then. Like, so it's like, okay, if I get a phone call in the middle of the day, or if my wife needs support, like we just had another baby at that point as well, so we had 2. So yeah, I just needed to be there. Like, so I was like, oh, well, freelance will give me that sort of flexibility, and I have that now, but it took a long time to get that. I think it was within the first 6 months. I literally, I came home and I walked in the door and I was like stressed, probably just being a bit of an arsehole. And then my wife was like, just go for a walk, like just blow off some steam or whatever. And I ended up literally walking up to like a doctor's surgery and just going in there and being like, yeah, hi, I think I'm having a breakdown. Like I was so stressed. And the little old lady, sweet old lady behind, like the receptionist, was like, oh, sit down, like I'll get you a cup of tea. And she's like, oh, I'll put a load of sugar in it for you, you know, proper sorted me out. And then, yeah, I think I basically I just kind of reached a limit where all this like stress from, you know, having kids, you know, young kids, but then also staying up late, freelancing, that was a worry, the stuff from the job, it all just like, and then, yeah, going freelance and having to like sort out, you know, like finances, accounting, like, you know, drumming up clients, all of that stuff, it all just kind of reached a point and I just blew. And then, yeah, like ended up like going into like a bit of talk therapy and kind of working and just having that support, which was away from my family basically. So it's like, I'm going to deal with this over here so that I can just like focus on what's important. And I think like once I got past that point, it was almost like this dust just cleared from my brain. And then I really started to figure out like how I'm going to do this. And I think the best thing about freelance is you can kind of make up how you do it. There's no right or wrong way really. And I think you just have to like know what's important to you, know who you want to work with and why you want to work with them. And yeah, just try and make that happen. So, and I think like when you're, you know, going back to what I was saying a minute ago, like, yeah, you are kind of under the microscope a lot, like your work's being critiqued like on a daily basis for commercial purposes. If you can like almost like thrive in that situation and just learn to like not take it personally and be like, okay, well, this is gonna make me better. This is serving my client, and then I need to like take that on to the next. Like you can really start to like improve on yourself, your work. And I think that for me, that's one of the best things about freelance is that growth personally and professionally. That's just my personal opinion. And I think, yeah, as time's gone on, yeah, that flexibility of just like, okay, like I'm not going to work today. I'm going to hang out with my family. Or I'm just going to take a day to rest because I don't know if I'm sure other people have found a way to have like I find it so difficult to book in a holiday. Like I'll like have it. Okay, we're going on like 10th of October, and then a week before a project comes in. You're like, well, I've got to say yes. So, yeah,
that's really interesting. How do you? I know you know, I'm naturally elaborating on it anyway. But how do you find that balance, and how do you make, you know, how do you, yeah,
I was hoping you could teach us, Aaron.
It sounds like us, doesn't it, Michael? Do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, oh man, like I think you just have to roll with the punches, and like, yeah, I mean, burnout that's another real negative thing about freelance. Like, burnout is real, like it is 100% real, and sometimes like you don't even know you're burning out. But yeah, I think like if I used to have to work a little bit at the weekends or, you know, in the evenings, and I'll just try and take that time back somewhere else. So if I have to work a weekend to get ahead on a project, I'll send the work through on a Monday, and then, you know, you've got a couple of days before they come back with feedback. So I will, yeah, just have some downtime there. And then another thing which I think is really important about freelance is like how to say no. And for the longest time, I said yes to absolutely fucking everything and got into a complete mess. But as time's gone on, it's like, yeah, if a project's not exactly right for me, I'll say no. And then suddenly, like, I'm not juggling 4 projects. I'm just juggling 2. So I have time to be a human being in between that. So. Yeah, I don't know. I to answer your question, no, I have no fucking clue how to do that.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because like again, we've spoken before this, Aaron, and me and Michael have spoken, and like outside looking in, mate, you've got everything figured out.
It's not true.
You know, I mean?
It's not true.
You're doing it, you know, and it's really interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, people have said that to me before, and I've said it to other people. Like I think that's just the world we live in. Like. Social media, and then what people associate with certain brands. Like, you know, I've been lucky enough to work with some huge brands, and it's like people on the outside will see that and they're like, man, like, how does he do that? And it's like, it's not happening every day, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, I honestly, hand on heart, like I work as hard as I can, and like I've burnt out countless times, and I think like it's important to remember that. So yeah, I think it's important to be quite open about, and I try to be quite open about it, you know, like I talk completely openly like this, you know, with you guys for the podcast and stuff, but like, you know, I'd imagine like if you're talking to a client, you're talking differently, and you're trying to have that like facade and stuff, and you want them to know that you know you've got this covered, and like, yeah, you do work with these big brands because you are good at what you do, and yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you being vulnerable with us and being so honest with us on the podcast. And I think that's great for us to hear. And hopefully it's great for everyone else to hear. Do you know what I mean? Because I think a lot of the people, and it's a common thread that we're noticing the more we do these podcasts, that it looks like you know what I mean? On the outside, but we're all kind of, you know what I mean, having that same fight internally and externally.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing, like you never know what other people have got going on in their life as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's also important to remember, like when you're projecting that onto someone, to not put them on that pedestal, because I don't think that's fair.
I love that, Aaron. That's great. Flipping that now then, how do you stay inspired, and what inspires you when you hit that moment, blank piece of paper, new brief, where'd you go? Jiu Jitsu? Did you go at Nia? I did straight away.
Yeah, we haven't spoken about Jiu Jitsu yet. And I think there's times where I'm like, I've got to get this done, but the lunchtime class is on, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gone. I mean, staying inspired is difficult. I think, like, you know, if you've been freelancing for a long time, and I can obviously, you're right there, mate.
Yeah, the fucking fly just went in front of my face. I was like, geez, the guys, I'm wigging out.
Yeah. I think like freelancing for a long time, as an illustrator at least anyway, I think you can fall into two traps, or personally I have. Whatever you put out in the world, like, people will want you to draw, and eventually if you'll kind of get bored of that stuff, if you keep it online, and you know, a lot of time, unless you take off the website, you've got no option, it just stays on there. Google someone's name and all their work's on there. And then the other trap is like repeating yourself and kind of running out of ideas. And I think the way I've tackled that is just like really trying to listen to clients and encourage them to look inwards and tell me about like why they're unique, like whether it's a one-man band or a corporation, whatever it might be. Like, there's gonna be unique, interesting insights into like what they can tell me. Only they can tell me that, and then use that as the inspiration. So it's like, if you get approached to do, say, for example, a t-shirt design, and you say, well, why do you want to do this? And they say, oh, because we like this brand. And it's like, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that's going to work for you. So tell me what's unique about you, and we'll try and dig into that a little bit. And then I think, like, I mean, I'll just try and run all that through my own head. And I think my influences, whether it's like music, video games, comic books, like jiu-jitsu, going down the beach, hanging out with my family in the woods, going for walks, like, that's all in there sometimes. I have no idea how to articulate that, but it just comes out. And then recently in order to like keep developing, and that's one thing I focus on, ideas, not necessarily style. It's like ideas, like how can you communicate an idea, an emotion, and like, you'll get that as designers. Like, so if a client can give you all this information, like, you need to find new ways to communicate that visually. And the way I've done it recently is going back to just pencil and paper, because for so long I've been on the iPad, and the iPad's great, but it's weird because you make these leaps because you can erase stuff so easily and so quickly, and then you end up not the play is gone. So where you've got like a sketch with a pencil and paper, I purposely don't buy erasers, and like, I don't have one. So it's like whatever's on there, if I draw something wrong, I'll try and adapt it. And I'm like, trying to force myself like to sketch. And I think often, like, and for so long, I didn't know what to draw. And I was like, okay, I was like, going to draw. I was like, who's this for? Like, or like, what type of client is this going to get me? Like, who would like this? Like, fuck all that. Just let the hand draw and just do anything. If you start with a fucking cup of coffee, which eventually turns into a flying unicorn, fucking spewing fire, like, so what? Like, and yeah, I think that is and then using all of that on commercial projects to borrow from. So you're almost creating this piggy bank of ideas, and over time you can start sliding some of that stuff in there, encouraging the client to take a risk. And I think that's kind of how I've done it. And then over time, it's been a way that I've not only channeled myself into the work, having authorship on it, but then also understanding it needs to function for them. So you've got the stuff they've told me and the stuff that I like, and then through that's my work. So yeah.
That's so interesting.
I don't know, like, sorry to cut you off there. I don't know if anything specific inspires me. Like, I definitely, I love being outside, I love nature, I love all that stuff. But I think for me, it's always been about that process of developing ideas.
And going back to, me and Christian talk about it a lot, is like trying to retrain yourself to think like a child.
Yeah.
And what you said there about
a
cup of coffee turning into, what was it, a flying unicorn, into something spitting fire. It's like you can't do that under pressure, like creating something for like I don't know, like maybe like New Balance. Obviously we'll get into some new work soon, but under certain restrictions, like that's very hard to open up in your mind.
And I think having those constraints is really important, but then knowing, and also being brave enough to go outside and think outside the box. But again, it's just and I think it comes with time. I know with some of the clients I work with, I know what ideas I can show them and what ideas I should just keep for myself. So but I think I have to go down that road and do those weird ideas, because it will help me just go outside those constraints enough for them to, well, I think that's what it is. I think a lot of the time brands look for freelancers and artists and illustrators because of their innovation. And I think that if they have a way to capture brand voice, but in their own way, and it can still speak to their audience, I think that's really important. And I think that's really like what I try and do, at least anyway.
That's a really interesting thing as well to talk about, Aaron, is that obviously looking at your work, and again, we'll pull it up soon, but it is very nature, outdoorsy focused. And when you're a freelancer, people see that and it's like, okay, that's all you do. Like, you're just the nature, outdoorsy guy. So what's your views on that? And how, especially for other listeners as well, because it's something that I always battled with when I was a freelancer, is what work to put out, like stuff that that represents me, or like, I just don't want to be like the guy who's like, he just does drinks brands, or he just does this, or he just does that.
It's difficult, and it's definitely something I think about quite regularly. It comes naturally to me. I think growing up, surfing, riding BMX, skating, I think I grew up with those brands. I had the stickers on my skateboard, on my bikes. I bought the clothing, bought the DVDs, all of that sort of stuff. And you're doing those sports out in nature, and you absorb it. So it has definitely become who I am. And it's like, it's a good place to start in terms of like, when I went freelance, like, who do I approach? And I think it's definitely been a little bit of a journey, and because I also love going to the city. Like, I love going to London, Brighton. I've been to New York a bunch of times, and so I love people watching. So I again go, the last 2 or 3 years, I've found ways to start inputting that into my work, and again, like, if I draw like a forest scene with all these animals and people hiking and stuff, like, okay, well, if I want to attract people in the city to do something similar, like, how do I do that? And the only way you can do that is by just drawing it. So I think I've been trying to recently is like, remove a little bit of the outdoor stuff off my site, off Instagram, and start putting more stuff. And again, it's just being in the sketchbook, new ideas, and yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one for sure. And I think probably a really important thing to remember is like back to what I was saying, like you can say no. So if you get approached by an outdoor brand and you think, oh, I actually really like their vibe, then yeah, fuck yeah, work with them. But then like, you know, you put that out and they say, hey, we really liked what you did for this outdoor brand. Can you do something similar for us? Say no and wait for something else to come along. Or approach, you know, someone in another industry. And I think, yeah, there's a whole financial risk that comes with that, but you have to weigh it up.
Nice. I could keep talking, Michael, but I want to see some work.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd say before me because I'm like, come on, let's dive into this.
Yeah. So yeah, so Brew Good of Aron. How did this come about? What was the client like? What was the big idea? How did this go about?
So this actually came to me from Passenger, the clothing brand. So they do a collab every year with Brew Gooder. I think this was the second collab they've done, maybe the third. And yeah, so Passenger are actually, I don't know, less than 10 miles up the road that they're like HQ. And I think I've maybe done like a little bit of work for them before this, or I just like chatted to them. There's like, yeah, that was it. Yeah. So that the owner of the brand, like, there was like it's called Jacket Required. It's an event up in London. And I think I'd met him officially through there. Yeah, so they hit me up and they said, we think it'd be perfect for this project. We're doing this collab with Brew Gooder, and we want it to all be, we want this like kind of panoramic scene of people enjoying beer in the outdoors. And we want it to be inspired. They weren't in the States at the time, but they've since broke into the States. So they're a UK brand, but they said, we want it to be, you know, very much like, is it like the Appalachian Trail, that sort of thing? So lots of pine trees, that sort of stuff, like typical American outdoor vibes. So yeah. And actually, I mean, when they briefed me on this, it was the first project where I'd got to draw, because before that it's like smaller illustrations, like stuff for t-shirts or for like, you know, tech companies for just like little illustrations that communicate brand value. So this was the first opportunity I had to draw something like on a bigger scale. So I was buzzing for this, and the subject matter being so comfortable for me, it was perfect. I just, you know, pretty much just drew inspiration from my experience enjoying beers in the outdoors, like living out of a van, like surfing and stuff. So yeah, it was amazing. I really enjoyed drawing this. The only challenge I had was the wave is like Brew Gooder's like thing, and that I definitely found a bit of a challenge. And then also like, because I wasn't used to drawing something, you know, something so busy, it was like, oh, how do I keep that like simplicity and add color to it? Because they really wanted to be really cut. It goes through, it's released in store over the summer, so it's like they really wanted to kind of pop and be very summery. So yeah, this is where we ended up.
Yeah, very nice. I love it. I love the oneness of the illustration, the little like hidden moments that you can connect with if you're an outdoorsy kind of person, you know.
Well, this is it. Like, you know, clients I've worked with have always complimented me on like my ability to tell a story and like have those like hidden, you know, Easter eggs in there. So yeah, to do this on a larger scale, I was stoked.
Yeah, nice. Aron, I can see potentially your van in there. I love how it's like a daytime setting, but there's like a woman stargazing in there, like that contrast is really beautiful. And the white space that you've used in between it that then goes into like the clouds and then the smoke. Like, there's lots of things going on there. It's wicked, man.
Cheers,
and the constraints, what you're telling about as well, like utilizing Brew Gooder's assets, making it still feel on brand, obviously. But then I think them constraints sometimes I like, you know, and then breaking them best I can, you know. But like,
definitely,
yeah, great. The next one I'm super excited about as well. Do I say Gosney? Am I saying this right? It is Gosney, isn't it?
Oh,
now the pizza. Let's do pizza. Pizza, Michael. Now we're good there. This is great. I love this. And again, like them little, especially being in New York as well, Aaron, do you know what I mean? Can you go full screen on it? Oh yeah. Let's keep it live in the AI, bro. Let's zoom into it so I can see all the details.
I love how you sent these vectors through as well, Aaron. What's that? I love how you sent the vectors through.
Yeah. where you can.
These are
yeah,
great.
Nice and
I'm
sharp.
I'm obsessed with these. Like, these are great. So tell us about how this came. So Gosney's right. So, I've been watching Frank Pileno's pizza stuff. He's been doing like a big series, hasn't he, where he's promoting
Yeah.
Gosney as well, the pizza ovens. So I
Yeah.
do know a little bit about it, but yeah, tell us about this. This is awesome.
So yeah, Gosney again, another company just up the road, randomly. They wanted some artwork for like a campaign celebrating. It's like National Pizza Month, so they just basically got a load of affiliate stores all around the world. I think it was like America, Canada, Australia, UK, Germany. Yes, and yeah, I think they're going to put it on posters in store, online, t-shirts, stickers, and just encourage people to interact, social media, all that jazz. Yeah. So this is like, I would say like the stuff for Passenger and Brew Gooder, that's like where I started with, these busier scenes and people, and it's also the outdoors. But then moving to this is like where me drawing people has like evolved, and also as the more the city vibe, which sorry, that I enjoy as well. It's like, yeah, like I've just got this image. When they said like, oh, we just basically want like a load of references to the countries that we're going to be doing this in, and then just like people enjoying pizza. And instantly I'm thinking about like, yeah, people in New York with like the New York cat, like walking along eating a slice, and it's like I've done that, and it's so it was, I don't know, yeah, again, it was just like drawing on my own experiences, and then also weirdly like what I aspire to be like I like McClobber, I like fashion. So how can I incorporate that in? And then I just love that New York vibe. And although there are, there's like nods to Sydney and like there's Texas and, Germany and stuff. It's like, again, it's that, it's just that culture and that community that I really enjoy putting into my work. And I just try and make it look like people are having a good time. So
it's
yeah,
really nice. I love how it's all coming from the pizza oven as well at the bottom. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Up in smoke.
Yeah. So I think the guy in the middle above it. So that's like the owner.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Smashed
I feel
it.
like there's still a connection to from the outdoors and this nature sort of vibe. This is like, instead of watching, well, technically we're all animals, aren't we? But it's like going from, observing animals in the nature, in the wild, to observing people in New York in the wild.
Yeah.
How they behave, or sorry, like around the world in this case.
Yeah.
Really nice.
So this whole like layering of people is my way of how I layer in with like outdoor stuff. So if you take like nature, obviously, so from the ground up, it's like, you'll find like rivers, lakes, and you're going up and it's like trees and then mountains and sky, and you can really kind of build out this picturesque scene, which is really easy. It's become easy to do with illustration because I've done it so many times, and there's countless times I've tried to do that with like somewhere like New York, but then you're just like, oh well, it's grid and it's buildings and there's windows and there's detail, and then it's like none of it's the same, and it can become really busy, and you don't get these, with like with nature, you've got these like mountains and you've got clouds and all these different shapes, and you can really kind of lean into like making it work for you and for the illustration, but you can't really do that with a city. At least I can't. So I was like, oh, I need to find a new way of doing that, and it was just this layering of people. Going back to what you're saying at the start of the podcast, like the print, that was me trying to figure that out. So I was like, oh, we'll look at like that grid work illustration from that perspective, and I really enjoyed doing that. I'd love to do more of it, but it didn't feel as natural as doing the outdoor stuff does. But then the layering of people feels more natural, and it's like building out this puzzle.
Nice. Scroll down, Michael, to them little ones at the bottom. So where's this going now, Aaron? What's it being blasted onto in context when it's used?
So social media, it will be put in all the affiliate stores, like on like posters and on their social media and stuff, and then like stickers and apparel, just to celebrate National Pizza. They're giving away like a load of free pizza as well. Yeah.
There's going to be a Best Pizza in New York. Yeah, is that where they're doing it? Yeah, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Oh, man, I went there for the first time a couple of months ago.
yeah.
It's what top 3. It's not my top one. Sorry, Frank.
Yeah.
But if you're listening, but it's still a good slice, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's funny. Like just researching all these places. I'm like, man, like I want to go back to New York and just walk around and eat pizza again. Like, I mean, when I was there, I was literally like, you know, I'd have breakfast at the hotel. I'd go out and I'd go get coffee, and I'd be like, oh, that croissant looks good. I have that. Then you walk out, like, I don't know, like do the tourist thing, walk up to Times Square, and you go past Joe's Pizza, and you're like, okay, it's like 10 o'clock, oh, pizza. And then it's lunchtime, and you're like, man, I gained so much weight when I was out there.
Oh, trust me, I need to balance it out with my roles, so to say. Yeah. If not, I'll have roles in different places. You know what I mean? Right, yeah. So moving on, nice one. Like I said, I love it. Do you know what I mean? New Balance stuff. This is great as well. And like I said, we'll do something with this in post so it gets up big, so everyone can see it nice. So hopefully, seeing this in nice, giving Michael a little bit more work. But yeah, what came first? Talk to us about this, and talk to us about how you got New Balance as a client.
Yeah. So New Balance contacted me. I mean, it was a couple of years ago now, and I have like a submission form on my website, and it came through, and it was like, you know, you put in the email and stuff, and it's at New Balance, and then they put their website on there, and we're looking to commission a few graphics for an artist series, and I was like, someone's fucking having me on. This is ridiculous. And I showed it to my wife, and I was like, have you seen this? And she's like, oh my God, is that real? And I was like, yeah, I think so. And I like fully like stalked. I went on LinkedIn and like made sure that this was legit. I don't know why it wouldn't. I don't know. Anyway, and it just turns out, he's like the creative director or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then jumped on a call. And similarly to like with you guys, like just jumped on and just hit it off instantly. They were just so sound, man. Like similar age, like have kids, really interested in like, you know, my work, my process, got me to talk about like, you know, I talked about some of the stuff I've chatted with you about, like living in a van and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, this is crazy. Like they're so chill. And yeah, we did the artist series. And like my Instagram, like the @Fried Cactus Studio went on the sleeve, and it's mental. And then I had like friends photographing it when they were out in London and stuff, send it to me, like it was in the stores. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, it was amazing. And then I think like we got on so well, and they're so easy to work with. And I think like they're like the dad shoe brand, right? And they love a dad joke. And I think our sense of humor, we got on so well. And I think I was able to capture like their brand voice quite well. So we ended up working together on another season, and then that just like kept going, and I've worked with them on like multiple seasons now, and yeah, it's awesome. So this graphic, so I'd say like one of the best things about them is what I was saying earlier about like encouraging people I work with to look at themselves. That's what they do. Like they will look at their archives, they'll look at old ads, they'll take the piss out of themselves, and that, you know, they'll like, it's like, you know, back in the day when like Nike was sponsoring like Jordan, they were sponsoring like Ma and Pa, you know, those like iconic ads of like the two old people with like the long coats and the New Balance and stuff. And it's like, so I've always just been way more drawn to that. Like, so yeah, they wanted to see how I interpreted their heritage and, you know, their story and stuff. So this is inspired by, I think it was like the original founder, like in like 1906 or whatever, like he kept chickens, and he basically saw how when chickens, it's like that, it's like the free clawed foot, and it's like perfectly balanced. So somehow like biomimicry like developed the sole, and that became New Balance, that like what they're known for. And I thought that was really cool, and I come up with a few concepts to kind of tell that story, but then I just thought, well, you know, collaboratively we thought like, yeah, what came first, and then you don't need to say the rest. So it's like that whole chicken and the egg nod.
No, you don't need to say it, Aaron. That's the point. You don't need to say it. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
it.
And so, how the chicken looks.
Hey.
I love how pissed off the chicken looks.
Yeah, they're supposed to, and so this is the thing, right? So the way I drew it originally, I can't remember exactly the facial expressions, but the idea was there, and like the guy who I'm working with, like he was like, "Oh, it'd be cool if they kind of look pissed off with each other," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that would make it so much better." So that collaboration, and that's like I love that. Like I don't have all the answers, I don't have so those ideas, and I think he knew how to make it work even better for them. And the feedback I got from this was like, they're all over the world, and in all the meetings, sales meetings, or whatever, like everyone got it. Like, so
yeah, nice. Is there there's some other New Balance bits in there, Michael?
Yeah, there's another next to it.
Yeah.
Just same brief, yeah.
So yeah, this was again like I think it was like a newspaper cutting from, I don't know if it was like the 70s or 80s, something like that. And yeah, it was a guy running a New Balance in like a barrel, and it's like how uncomfortably shit would that be? So the idea was, you'll never feel uncomfortable in a pair of New Balance. And I think like, them being the dad brand, try to make him like look kind of like dad vibes, and then just again that they're a little bit like nerdier, for want of a better phrase, and just trying to channel that in the way I was drawing it. Like, I don't know. It's just that's how it came out. But
I love the little touches of it. So then you put in some personal work, right? Some bits, so I think will be interesting to talk through as well. So again, I love the madness of these. I find myself in all these. Do you know what I mean? There's definitely one that depicts me. Probably the one right at the center with the camel pants on, smoking a fat one. Just about me, that Michael. One or the other. Yeah. One of them two at the bottom. But this is great. It's nice. So you just drawing these for fun, trying to kind of put this out there and get similar work to this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like
love it.
Again, like. I love drawing people. Like I used to hate it. I'm still don't think I'm very good at it. Like they don't really look that. I don't know. But this is kind of how I do it. And then loving clothing and the silhouettes, and then all the patterns and just I don't know. Like and then again trying to layer it up, adding in little bits of me, like the birds and the random apples placed everywhere. And I think like. I put that on my website, right or wrongly. I was like, I don't know if this is right for any type of client, but like, I really enjoy drawing it, and it's on there.
I could see that for a brand, definitely out here. So
and I think it's definitely that's me trying to be like, hey, this is who I am. Like I do the outdoor stuff too, and I think that outdoor stuff has become, maybe somewhat of what I'm known for. But this is. As I've gotten older and my tastes have changed and my life's changed through various reasons, like having kids and whatever it might be, like this is me now. And strangely enough, I did actually recently get asked to do like a pattern for. So there's a brand called Saks, like a men's brief company, out in the States, and they're like, "Oh, we love this. Can we like angle it towards like sports?" So this is absolutely. Has gotten me work, which and it's just a stepping stone towards me hopefully doing more of this stuff.
Yeah, what you do is what you'll do. Do you know what I mean? The work you do is the work you're doing it. Do you know what I mean? And again, like being out here as well, and obviously there's a lot of people smoking joints in there, do you know? So it could adapt very nice. There's a brand out there.
Joints, they're just cigarettes, man. Like what?
Oh, it's cigarettes either way. Do you know what I mean? It's legal here. Do you know what I mean? Legal tender. What's it called? But there's a store out here called Gotham, and it's like for people in the UK listening, it's like Good Hood for weed, and the experience going in. Check it out. If anyone's listening, check out Gotham NYC. It's a women-run business for marijuana. Obviously everything's legit in there, but when you go in there, the experience is sick. And they have artists kind of, I won't say residency, I don't think that's the right word, but they have exhibitions up there. I think it's once a month they do it. So it'd be worth maybe getting in touch with them, Aaron. Do you know what I mean? They've had some amazing people. The guy,
let's do it.
Yeah, definitely. We'll chop this and we'll at them. But this would be perfect for Gotham. Sorry, and again, like some of the artists that have been in there, like Danny Cortez and stuff like that, amazing. Do you know what I mean? It always blows me away. But I can definitely see it for a weed brand, you know. They aren't ciggies to me. Amazing. Are there any other bits there, Michael, that we can scroll through? I love it. And again, even for like Hype Beast, do you know what I mean? It feels very, you know, like that, you know. But yeah, and then this feels like a very that we were talking about at the start, that very surreal world, you know, no kind of boundaries kind of thinking, you know.
This is just again, just I really enjoy drawing this. I think like again, it's me. This is from a sketch from like one of my sketchbooks, and I think it's important to keep developing that sort of stuff. And I think, you know, alongside the commercial work that I'm putting out there, and the personal projects like the one we just talked about, where it's quite literally just people wearing clothing. It's like nothing really that necessarily that meaningful about it. But this is just me trying to get better and also show my conceptual thinking, and just I mean, this could be, I think, like when I was drawing it, maybe it's like me just kind of like sat waiting for those eureka moments. Like they talk, you know, people talk about like mindfulness and like how listen to thoughts objectively, and maybe it's that. But then adding like the dog in there because I like drawing dogs, and again, it gives me an opportunity to like draw the same thing but like in a different way, because again, as an illustrator, getting asked to do stuff all the time, I feel like you need to keep evolving. And it's like using the dog as an example, like I'm not going to draw the same dog for 2 different brands, so like I need to keep thinking of new ways how to like draw people and animals and objects, and this is just me practicing that alongside the conceptual stuff.
Yeah, nice. Very unmistakably you, Aaron. Everything I look at now, like everyone, you know what I mean? Like it's very you know.
That's huge. Yeah, I really appreciate that. That's a huge compliment. Like, because I think that's I've really, I mean, I think everyone does like get really bogged down into like wanting to be known for a specific style, but then also like you don't want to alienate yourself. And I think it's good to be versatile. And I think I draw things in different ways, but I do try and add in, whether it's like the line weight or the color or just, you know, a bird somewhere, like, so at least someone who knows me and knows my work can look at it and go, oh yeah, it's Aaron's. So.
Yeah, I'd love one of the little birds tattooed somewhere. I listen, trust me. And then next to it here, Michael, are these some sketches? Are these some behind the scenes that we can see?
Yeah, so I thought it'd be interesting. So like the original sketch for the one we just chatted about, you can see is the photo on the right, top left. Like,
nice. Yeah, sweet. So, does this how they all start for you, Aaron? Yeah, you doodle it like this and then keep it loose. And then,
And I've started doing this with client work as well, because and you know, depending on the client, sharing this with them. I'm not really like worrying too much about the presentation, and just I'll take a few which I know are relevant for the brief, and I will work them up on the iPad and then you know, put them into like a deck. But then I will also attach like a few of these just so they can see the process, and they might see something in there that's like super weird that they go, actually, we would like to take a risk on that. But I think again, it's like where you draw something with a pen. I mean, obviously muscle memory plays a huge part in it, but it's not always, you're not always going to be able to draw like a perfect circle, for example. So like if I'm drawing something and it comes out weird, it's like, oh, actually, like, I need to lean into that, because that can be the new way in which I draw something.
It's really interesting to see, just how you like quickly sketch these up opposed to like the final thing. And I think as like a graphic designer, there's always this fine balance as well of not showing the client too much and sometimes leaving it to their own imagination. Because like you said, they might find something in that and be like, oh yeah, well that could sort of work if it was like a bit of this and a bit of that. And then you've got like a really good idea of how to develop it. So it's really interesting. Again, this page that you've put in, Aaron.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just great. And if you want to see any more of Aaron's work, go to Fried Cactus DC.com. Don't want to forget the DC bit. I was just checking that in the background. I was like, and your Instagram's at Fried Cactus as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Fried Cactus Studio,
Fried Cactus Studio, sorry. Amazing. Well, like I said, thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking us through the work. Let's I just want to finish up with a few more questions if you've got time, Aaron, if that's all right. We've been doing an hour and 50 minutes, so I don't want to keep you for too much longer on a Sunday. But I mean, you kind of elaborated on this a little bit already, but do you feel like you've made it?
What is it? I don't know what.
I don't even know what it means, bro. Do you know what I mean?
So, I think like the way I look at like that is, you know, you could argue that working with someone like as big as New Balance is like fucking pinnacle of your career, and it for sure was like. But literally the next day, I got to get up, come to work, and keep doing it and keep grinding. You know? Yeah. So I think like. I think it depends on. I mean, I think I've made it in the sense that I've got flexibility, and I've been doing it for 7 years, and I you know, I can, if I want to take a day off in the middle of the week to go and hang out with my family, or like whatever, like I can do it. So in that sense, yeah. But I think it from like a, you know, I think often when people ask that question, it's like, oh, from a client or like work sense, and in that sense. I don't think I have. I think it's constantly a work in progress, and you constantly just have to keep growing, evolving, and I'm happy to do that. So, and that's a blessing in itself. So,
I love it. Love the answer. Do you know
that comparison to Aaron Draplin as well before? Like, I can feel it when I'm talking to you as well, Aaron, because I think just like you said, then the New Balance piece. I think back to like the Nike SB stuff that he did, and that's something like became a really pinnacle part of his career.
Yeah,
you can see that again with like some of the brands that you're working on. But I think it's really interesting that you mentioned his name, and like, I do get a sense of that.
Yeah, and I think like Draplin, John Contino, one of the things that draw me to them, it's not just their work, but it's their attitude, the way they, you know, are unapologetically themselves. And like, I struggle with that, like, because it's hard, right? Like, and it's like, you know, it's hard, like, anyway, everyone has insecurities, but it's also hard to do that when you've got like, you know, finances and you know, bills to pay, like, you know. But I've watched their talks, I've listened to their podcasts, and I've just really, it's the same with like people in skating, like Ed Templeton, Jamie Thomas, like Andrew Reynolds, like they're all guys who are just unapologetically themselves. They give back to their communities, and they encourage people to just like own their mistakes, and, you know, in terms of their work, you know, and like, you know, just be a good fucking person and don't be a dick about it. And I just think they tell that story really well, and I think that's really impacted how I do it. And it's also very close. They're both very close culturally to BMX and skating, where it's got that little edge to it, you know. And it's again just what I'm into. Like I just relate to it so much.
Dream client hit list. I mean, you've worked on a vast amount of stuff there. Do you know what I mean? But is there anything that you'd like to put out into the universe that you'd like to work on? Sorry,
Warby Parker.
Warby Parker.
Warby Parker. Yeah.
Do I not? I don't know if I know what that is.
They're an eyewear brand, and I just
nice.
Yeah, I love the. Like, I wear glasses for.
Pull it up, Michael. Sorry. I mean, just so I can have some context. Can you pull it up in the background, Michael? Is that all right? Can you share that?
Yeah, one second.
Go on, nice one. Go on, carry on, Aaron. I want to see it.
Well, I wear glasses like when I'm working anyway. But their brand aesthetic is just beautiful. I think the artists they pick are people I admire. They change their inside the store, like have artwork on the wall, and it's like they change that quite regularly, and in different locations around the world they'll use different artists. I just think how they do it just looks beautiful, and I think
oh yeah, nice. I'm sucker for a little bit of glasses design, mate. Do you know
what I mean? I know, right?
Yeah. The older I get, the worse they get as well. You know what I mean?
I think they've just got like. That's the thing. It's like there's this like, certain level of sophistication from like a branding point of view. I just like I'm really drawn to.
Yeah. Is it easy to pull up, Michael? Or is it a bit of a fuss?
You know, I was looking on the website, but I feel like it's not doing the justice that Aaron's talking of it. So
probably their Instagram would.
Yeah, and I was just starting to look for their Instagram. And I'm
we'll wax them up
a little bit. I'm on 2 keyboards and on my laptop.
Don't worry. I can feel that I stress him out when I'm like, Michael. Do you know what I mean?
Steam coming out your ears, like.
I'm so sorry, bro.
I'm like, I can feel it myself as well. Like I just go dead to the to the podcast, dead to the world.
Yeah. We can cut that, do it all again.
No cutting. I love all the natural bits, you know.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they've got some cool frames too.
Yeah,
nice. All right, well, it's out there now anyway, Aaron, so I'm hoping they do.
not like the Yeah. I think if you maybe if you scroll down a little bit more.
That's cool.
Okay, so you could see, yeah, is that like a picture of in-store on the right there?
Oh, the far right.
Yeah.
There, yeah.
But yeah, like
Oh, yeah.
that, yeah. So they'll pick like random, random artists, or not random, but yeah, they'll pick different artists and get them to do pieces in store, and it's just,
Drop the store,
it's
yeah,
always
nice.
just looks so. And you can see by the store, it's like a clean aesthetic, and then like that just acts as like a canvas for the artwork, and it's just, I think the way they do it is on point.
Yeah, lovely, nice.
Nice.
I've got
Yeah, that's like genius, right?
nice to see nice. Right, great. And then the last question that we'll finish it on: what advice would you give yourself starting out again? I know these are all big questions in it. Do you know what I mean? Sort of, but if you was,
I don't know if I need to, man. I think I just fucking nailed it. So
yeah, say nothing. I love that answer. Say no more.
Yeah. No, I'm joking. I think maybe don't be in a rush. Like, and like, don't be in a rush, and just be happy with your own kind of pace of growth. Because there was definitely times where I would get like doom scrolling on Instagram on other artists and seeing all those clients and like feeling awful and just like full imposter syndrome. But then having to talk myself out of it and understanding that they have their own life, their own scenarios, their own input, like what I'm creating, who I'm working with is only going to be impacted by my own life, and just to accept that. So, and I think, yeah, I definitely struggle with that a lot. I mean, the amount of times I've fully just deleted like Instagram and stuff like that. I think I mentioned Instagram so much because I think these days it does have such a big impact on like creatives' lives, because you kind of you often look to other people and compare yourself. So yeah, I think just not having a rush, and maybe just taking the time to like work on the fundamentals, like your craft, like your onboarding process with clients, and the way you present yourself to the world, your website, all that sort of stuff. I think, yeah. That's probably
amazing. Great answer. Amazing, Aaron. I think I need to hear that, and I think a lot of other people, it would be great to hear that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I can be. I think my and Michael's too. Kind of ambitions can be a blessing and a curse. You know what I mean?
I think the fact that you know that is why it'll all be all right. I think when people don't have that level and they don't have that self-awareness, that's usually not a great thing. And I think it can, that's usually when things can blow up. I think that it will always ground you if you know that. And it will also encourage you to keep working hard. But yeah, I like I said, I had to talk myself out of feeling like shit. So you because you have that self-awareness, you'll do the same.
Yeah. And then when all is said and done, I just go to Jiu Jitsu when it gets that bad. Just run away to Jiu Jitsu and get smashed.
Yeah. Hey, actually, I would say, because I actually only started Jits like 3 years ago, so maybe I should just give myself the advice of starting it earlier, because it is for sure helped me with freelance. Like the turning point for me after getting through the first sort of like 3 months of like feeling claustrophobic and wondering why I'm doing this. Like after that, like I like really got comfortable with being uncomfortable, and then shit with freelance and clients and money, it just didn't seem that bad.
I know like, it's a bit checks your perspective, done it on everything.
If I can roll with some big Polish dude who's just absolutely smashes me, like maybe I can like go through a quiet week, and I'll be all right the following Monday. So yeah.
I love it. It's just a reminder that we do hard things daily. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
the hardest thing you do is the hardest thing you do. And I think again that puts life into perspective sometimes.
Just quickly before I lose you as well, Aaron. Not that I'm going to lose you for long. I'm going to hit you back up on Instagram soon.
Never
lose I just wanted to ask about we've not spoke a lot about jiu-jitsu, but just quickly.
Yeah,
and there's quite a good scene around Bournemouth area because they have the Polaris, don't they? The event.
Yeah.
Have you ever been over to it? And where are you training at the moment?
So I'm training at Ippon, run by Jeff Lawson. Google him; he is the boss. Big judo background, obviously. So Polaris, they have it they've had it in Southampton a few times. I think I've gone the last 3 or 4 years in a row, and then most recently they had it in Bournemouth at the Lighthouse.
Oh no,
And,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, nice.
yeah, and it's a great scene. Like really, like I mean, Ippon's like such a high level gym, and you know Jeff pushes everyone, and my training partners are just awesome. So yeah, it's a good scene here for sure. I know there are other gyms in the area who you know everyone kind of like cross trains, which is great. I know that's not always a thing in a lot of places, but you know we're fortunate that everyone's pretty chill. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah, I really believe in the cross training. I think it's so good to dip in and out to different gyms.
Yeah,
the Brazilians, the traditional Brazilians aren't. You get called a crionche, which is a traitor.
yeah.
Oh, nice! It'd be nice if we could all get some rolls in together at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We'll align at some point. We'll try and make it happen.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you come back, like,
yeah.
either come down or I'll try and meet you in London or something. But I'm definitely gonna do a New York trip next year. So I trained at Marcelo's when I was there last. So yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to Marcelo. Like I was saying, I've done all the Gracies out here, and I'm training at 5 points at the minute because I'm up in Harlem. But I think when I move over to Brooklyn eventually, I probably will land at one of the Gracies BK there because they do obviously Thai and Jits as well, and they have a good program for each. So I think I'll probably land there. And when you're here, I'll just take you wherever I am, Aaron. You're coming with, you know, and we'll check a few others out, you know, and you can smash me wherever it is.
That's good.
Listen, thank you so much for your time on a Sunday, especially.
I really enjoyed that. Like, definitely a bit nervous before, but I mean, I enjoyed it. You guys
I think again, what we're always finding, and a disclaimer for everyone, if people are still listening at this point after we've just done jiu-jitsu talk, that first 10 minutes for us as well, we feel it too. But then once that, it's like a sheet gets, and then it's just like you're just flowing. And I love that, and it's nice. You know, it's great. You was awesome, Aaron. Super inspiring, man. Sick.
Yeah, loved it.
Sick. Michael, what's the tradition?
Oh yeah, the tradition. So yeah, we usually depends if it didn't work last time.
I know. That's why I put it on you.
But we just like to get people to close the lid and just.
Are you on a laptop?
Like that.
Yeah,
just slam it shut. That's how we shut. We see Mike Tyson do it.
No, but honestly, it was amazing chatting with you guys. So I'll see you later.
I love it, Aaron. Thank you so much, bro. That was sick, and I hope we can get some. I hope we can get some rolls in with him at some point. You know, nice one, Aaron. That was sick. That was awesome, bro. Honestly, Aaron, that was great. Honestly,
thanks. I appreciate it.
What's it called? I was telling him when we chatted on Friday, Michael, about the madness that went on with Alex midweek. You can stop recording this if you want, Michael, to let you life easier, and we'll film the end after. Do you want to do that, or do you want to keep it going?
I might make my life harder.
Why
don't we just sign it? Let's sign it off with Aaron. Aaron, you stay here for the sign off.
Okay.
All right, stay here for the sign off. All right, well, listen, always a pleasure. Thanks for listening, guys. You can hit up Aaron at Fried Cactus on Instagram. You can hit his website at Fried Cactus
DC.
I was going to say UC in my head then. Please like, share, and subscribe. We're doing these podcasts more and more. Like I said, we're coming up to the end of the first season now, if you're listening to this one. And we'll be coming fresh in your season 2 very soon. Yeah,
the pressure was on then with Aaron sat here, wasn't it?
Nah, it's good. Smashed it, bro. Light work. I'm ready. Been podcasting. Appreciate you all. Thank you for listening.
Nice one, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Has he gone?
Oh,
I was going to chew the fat.
Where's he gone now? For fuck's sake. Don't come back on for a second.
Okay.